Another one is, I don't have the time to do this in detail here. My experiment here, how a fuse works. Very often we hear electrical so-and-so something caused the fire. Now, in this experiment, the children will actually see a fuse burning, a fuse blowing up. However, we have all the bits and pieces here, but at the end we say, well, now we don't use fuse wire because here's farmer, I know it all better, and they are stupid with the wire. I just use ordinary wire, and you know, oh, light comes on, everything's fine. So, now what's next? Yes, 1:6 power ratio. This here is another example of like the grandfather clock, you know. This is anything wrong? Oh, it's me, my house is burning. Oh, it's right after all. Never forget it. They never forget it. This is another example of power transformation. Give the children to pull a cylinder spring to this and say, pull it apart, and they won't be able to do it. Give them a transformation. This is a power ratio of 6:1, and they can easily pull the string. Here is the complete operation. Another one which I don't have here is how we reduce, why do we have accidents in wet weather? And what I have, it is too heavy to carry along, so I left it well at home. I have in this particular case, say, a piece of glass, and there is a heavy brick on top, which has 4 pieces of tire, you know, some of the tire, 4 pieces demonstrating the wheels. We pull with a spring scale here, and the children measure how much friction there is. And they measure and write it down. This is research, scientific research. They write it down, say, oh, well, 50 pounds. Now we wet this and measure again and find there is a third only of the friction. Why do people have accidents? Because they don't take this into account. Substitutions. We have again a concrete example here of if we don't have time for space for a pendulum, we have a flywheel. They can examine it, they can operate it, find out how it works. When it comes to electromagnetism, we're getting more advances. One of my favorite experiments here. Not only do we produce magnetism with electricity, it also goes the other way around. If there's a magnet somewhere which is connected to a coil, if the magnet moves, as you can clearly see on the meter, we are producing a deflection. What can it be used for? You're always asking, what can it be used for? And we can use it for, if you imagine this is sitting on a rock on the ground, and this is hanging on a spring, we can detect even with this earthquakes from as far away as from the other side of the earth. Once we have a signal here, we can amplify it, put it on a oscilloscope, do whatever we like. And so we could go on and on. I have a little spark generator here, which gives us the idea of a thunderstorm in miniature. My time is just about up. and here again, very often the children invent their own experiments and go on for hours. And here we have sparks going in all directions, and then the children, they can take a piece of paper and get tiny little holes burnt into the paper. Look against the sun, against the light. Oh, there we are. Let's play with the stars. Anyway, this is sort of brings me to the end of my practical demonstrations, and So we have been covering what I have what I'm strong on is the difference in perception. Once we have some idea that the child lives in a completely different world, looks at it different, as I said, you know, the pouring water into a cylinder, which is now more water, does not make any sense to us, and yet that is the normal reaction of a child. And then invent some practical examples. We can do so much to produce a knowledge, a fundamental structure of knowledge which helps them in their later life, no matter how far we go in technology and science, whatever. But one of the key things I put on here, just to finish up with, this is from the readings from Maria Montessori. This is, to me, is music, this sentence. Help me to do it myself. Gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Peter. Excellent. I think Peter's presented us that his idea of establishing a way in with these ideas, getting those abstract thoughts to kids with still concrete